And we're live. Welcome, everybody. Great to be with you. This is our Zenith event, the culmination event of our philosophy formula experience. So we have, of course, the post-graders who are always invited to come to the Zenith, and we also have the current class that's coming through. So we're excited to be with you. We have the biggest, and I'm going to say the best lineup we've ever had. We have multiple people coming through, so I'm going to give you some kind of setup and kind of, how can I put it, get you acclimated for how this is going to unfold. And for the people who are here live, which hopefully is most of you, and I know many of you will watch on the replay, but for the people here live, you have the same opportunity like we have with all of our open office hours to be able to ask questions, give comments, interact like you do. Your methodology to do that is to on the Facebook page, the viewing page where you're seeing us right now, I'm sorry, this Facebook thread, which is on the viewing page, you should be checking in, hi, it's so-and-so checking out from such a place, etc. You can post a question or a comment at that point or anytime during the course of our experience here. And then secondarily, if you want to join us inside, you can push the button and come inside the Hangout, although with 5 presenters plus Krista, there's not going to be a lot of room. So if we get to a point where a presenter can't get in, we might have to ask somebody to bounce out. But that's a second piece. Number 3, if you want to, and you can ask your question inside if you want to. Thirdly, if you want to email Krista, you can email her at support@philosophyformula.com. If you have an anonymous question that you want to ask, you can email it to Krista. She'll ask it anonymously on your behalf. Just put anonymous in the subject line, and she can, then we can answer that question. So what I want to do, and I'm not going to be here with you the whole time. I'm going to basically do the overview right now, and then turn it over to Krista. And there's going to be, back-to-back presentations, and then the interaction question and answer. So here's how it's going to go. I'm looking, okay, the order that I have up here, I want to make sure I have it right. So let me just go through who the presenters are. And incidentally, we have a surprise Uber guest presenter coming that happens to be visiting me in Park City right now. I'll bring him in just a minute. But amazing human being, and it's a big value add for you here today. So I'll let you know about that in a moment. So we're going to be starting, once we get started, the first presenter is Dr. Larry Marks. And of course, Larry needs no introduction. I think you all know who Larry is. So much of what we did in the beginning of the course, looking at affirmation, headspace, morning ritual, comes from Larry. Larry is my earliest mentor in chiropractic, who really put me on the right path in my career. And he did so because of the way that he was able to get me to frame up my headspace, understand what it took to become a successful human being, and understanding how it's head first and everything follows that. So I'm really excited that he accepted my invitation to come and present to you. He has presented on occasion in the past to some of the philosophy formula groups, always gets like the highest marks, and people love what he has to say. So you have 2 things. Number 1, you have Larry here who is going to give a presentation, but you also have the ability to ask him questions. And I got to tell you, he's somebody whose wisdom is unparalleled especially in the chiropractic profession, but just in general in headspace. He is the guy that understands how to create success. And I believe he's had a massive impact in this profession. So I'm excited for Larry to be presenting to you. We also then will have Roberto Monaco. So I think many of you might know Roberto. He'll be following Larry. And that's where you're going to learn a lot about how to upgrade your presentation skills. It's one thing to get your message together through the philosophy formula process. That's what we did. We taught you, how to organize your brand and your brand message and your statement of purpose, etc. But now you have to go speak it. So communication's extraordinarily important. Roberto is a speaking coach to many of the great speakers in chiropractic, and I'm excited for him to share with you his wisdom about how to upgrade your presentations. After Roberto, we have Mike Klein. So Mike is my partner in philosophy formula. He's a world-class marketer, brilliant understanding of marketing, especially online marketing and the technical sides of it. He's the CEO of Tech Guys Who Get Marketing. So I don't think he'd mind me saying he's a complete geek in the best of ways. He did an open office hours not that long ago. I think people got a lot out of it. He spoke at the live event. He's also spoken to my Ultimate Achievers Club. That's what this T-shirt is here. He's got just phenomenal of some of the best practices in marketing. So definitely pay attention there, and then questions, comments, etc. He'll be there to answer those. Following Mike, we have Dr. Bo Pierce. And Bo is, my partner in Circle of Docs and also in Vaccines Revealed. And Bo is a millennial. So now, and actually, well, I guess Mike is a millennial too, come to think of it. These guys are all young, the smarter ones at least. So, Bo is going to be talking also about, he's in practice also right now. He's really good on building a community in your practice and using online tools to help you do that. So Bo is going to come and have a conversation with about that. I'm very excited. He's just somebody who's really mastered that particular skill and has a lot to share. And then we're going to anchor it with somebody I think all of you know, Dr. Russ Rosen. So Russ is just extraordinary on his patient communication side, understanding the wellness model, how to take all that philosophy and how to communicate it. He does it very, very effectively. He's been on open office hours. Russ actually did the course with the class. He was always on the open office hours as a student, but he'd be contributing back because he has such wisdom about so many aspects of building a chiropractic practice, and especially on the patient communication side of it. That's something that he does extraordinarily well. So that's the lineup. We've got, again, Larry Marks is starting out, Roberto Monaco, Mike Klein, Bo Pearson, Russ Rosen. So you're in for a hell of a ride here. Do make sure that, again, you chime in, you ask your questions, you make your comments, announce yourselves while you're out there. I see some of you are starting to come inside. I'm noticing that Larry's image is frozen, so hopefully that's going to come back. And hey, surprise guest, can you show up? So here he comes.
Yes.
So
all dressed up. I'm ready to workout clothes. Yeah.
Sometimes we're confused for each other, especially little kids when they see pictures. But
I listen, all red like this camera angle.
I'm really honored. Joe Polish is legendary. I think most of you, all of you, have heard of Joe Polish. He runs, really the #1 mastermind in the world today. The people I admire most in the world are members of his Genius Network, and the people that he interacts with are more than impressive, and then some of the best thinkers in the world in their relative fields. So Joe is visiting Park City this weekend, and I said I'm doing this event and launching. He said, I'll come in and talk for a bit, and I have to tell you, this is a rare and very precious experience. So pay attention. He's going to tell you about the definition of sales and marketing.
We'll talk about, well, the only thing anyone needs to know is my new book. All right, no, it's not even available yet.
That's right. You can't even buy it.
Yeah, you can't go to Amazon. You can't buy it anywhere. But I brought a pre-release version for Patrick. It's called The Average Joe's Marketing Book. Now, about marketing. After I first learned marketing in 1992 when I was a dead broke carpet cleaner living off credit cards. And so I never learned marketing ever thinking I would teach it to anyone, that I would, run Genius Network, that I would have my, all the stuff that I do today, which literally, I have millions of people have downloaded my marketing podcast, which is I Love Marketing. Did you see the subtle pitches that I put in here?
That's very good.
Trying to disguise this as me, but it's really no.
And incidentally, I get that podcast.
But here's the thing. So when I first learned it, I needed to eat. I needed to survive, and I had to figure out how to successfully sell something that nobody wants to buy, which is carpet cleaning. Because if you think in your own lives, if you ever looked forward to hiring a professional carpet cleaner. And I was at an event on Tuesday. My buddy Vern Harnish was doing one of the Fortune magazine summits, and there was 1,000 people there. And I asked the audience, how many of you have cleaned their ever hired a carpet cleaner? A bunch of people. And I said, how many of you never hired a carpet cleaner? And like a bunch of hands went up. And I was like, could you ever imagine wearing your underwear for like 6 months and never washing it? Like, what's wrong with you people? You never hired a carpet. But it was kind of funny. But I said, if you've got anything that you sell that is more sexy and exciting than carpet cleaning, you could probably learn from what I'm going to teach you. And so I'm saying that as a setup, that for years I would refer to, marketing and selling it. Let me define it. So is what you do when you're on the phone or face to face with somebody. Marketing is what you do to get someone on the phone or face-to-face with you, properly positioned. So by the time you end up talking to them, or one of your team members, employees, talk to them, they're pre-interested, pre-motivated, pre-qualified, and predisposed to do business with you. So think of marketing as selling in advance. And so all of the things that you do to position yourself with your branding, with your education, with your websites, with every way that you can communicate to prospects, you want to set it up so that by the time they actually meet with you or interact with you or come to you, you're not relying on sales techniques. See, because people love to be sold, they hate to be pressured. And so void of having a marketing mechanism in place, you're literally doing manual marketing. So you could be the best salesperson on the planet, but you're limited by the clock because you can only talk to so many people in a given time. But with the right marketing messages, with the right ways to can and clone yourself, you can talk to 10, 100, 1,000, tens of thousands of people robotically. So I try to think of marketing as the quickest path to the sale, and how do you set it up so it's ELF, so you have an ELF business. Because I am so not had I not created marketing systems that did the selling for me, if I had to rely on teaching people how to sell, or worse, deal with sales techniques, I'd probably be broke. And I've managed to figure out how to build, not only a multi-million-dollar business, but teach so many others how to do the same thing simply by thinking of marketing systems. So there's a guy named Dr. Robert Cialdini. His first book that he wrote 30 years ago was Influence, and his latest book is called Persuasion. And Robert's a dear friend of mine. I've known him for 25 years. And the way that I think of it now, because whenever you say the term marketing, if you go out and ask even people that call themselves marketing experts to define marketing, you're going to get a different answer, different perspectives from everybody. And the way that I try to think of it now is think of selling as influence and think of marketing as storytelling. Because a lot of people say, I don't like selling, I don't like marketing. They have a bad, connotation on it. And what people are not up on, they're down on. So most people, when they even hear the term marketing, a lot of people think of it as something you're going to do to somebody. You're going to take advantage of them. And the truth is, any major thing that has ever happened in the world, from a nonprofit perspective, from a movement perspective, involved marketing. Nothing happens until a sale is made. And so how do you actually make selling happen without having to rely on techniques, without having to rely on manipulation, without having to rely on trickery? How do you do it in the most ethical ways? And so if you become better at, which is your ability to persuade, you're going to get more buy-in. You're going to be more effective. If you tell a better story, you're going to get more engagement and more enrollment. So only the hungriest fish are going to snap at the crappiest bait. So whatever it is that you're putting out there, you want to make it marketing is really applied psychology. It's what you say, it's the message in the list. It's as simple as that conceptually, but within that, it's very complex. It's very complicated. And that's why most people will not do very effective marketing, because they have to really, the biggest thing is they have to rely on learning about the mindset of the person that they're trying to sell. They have to really think about what's in it for them. And so when people just simply go after brand, build a brand, to build a brand without looking at the substance of what you're saying, what you're communicating, what you're really doing, people want a result. And the number one question in all consumers' minds is, who can I trust? If you think about this in your own life, whenever you go out and buy something, you're not going to go eat at a restaurant if you think it's going to give you food poisoning. If you call a plumber over to your house, if you don't really trust that person, unless you're in a situation where you have no other options, you're going to try to decide, to do business with who you trust. And so if you're providing value, creating value for people, and what you offer people is something that they actually want. If someone wants what you're selling, wants the result of what you're selling, the only thing that stands in the way of them getting it, as long as they have the money, is fear. And if you remove the fear, they will buy. So that's what marketers have to do. They have to say, okay, here's what we're offering you, be it a patient for chiropractic or hiring a graphic designer or going to a dry cleaner. I mean, you name it. It's all about building trust and rapport and setting that up in a systematic way so that you can have an ELF business. It's easy, lucrative, and fun versus a half business, which is hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. And so the way that I think about marketing is I don't do any projects. I don't work with any people. I don't set up anything if it cannot be ELF. Now, in the beginning, rarely is anything ELF. Usually it's really hard work and it's difficult and it's complex. But once you can you cuss on these?
Sure.
Things? Okay. Like everything's a clusterfuck until it's as smooth as silk. And so in the beginning, you're going to have to kind of go through some of these. How do you figure this stuff out? What are we actually selling? Because a lot of people, if you sit and think about what are you selling, you may have an idea of what you think you're selling, but the consumer is going to think about what are they actually buying. And once you can understand people say, find a need and fill it. Well, first off, people don't do what they need to do. People shouldn't drink and drive, but some people do. People shouldn't smoke, but they do. People would be well served to eat very healthy foods, but they don't. People do what they actually want to do. This amounts of persuasion to get people to do the things they want to do, let alone do the things they don't want to do. So how you package it, how you position it, how you present it, how you talk about it requires really deeply thinking about your business, about your clients, about your value propositions, and setting it up so it's easy to do business with you, so people can, really understand what it is they're looking for and make it appealing. I mean, they really need to want it. And so a couple things I'll say, and then I'll get off my rant here, is there's a book written in the 1950s called the Robert Collier Letter Book. And there was a great line in there saying, as a copywriter, it was really a book about writing sales copy, words. That you, as a marketer, as a copywriter, you want to enter a conversation that's already existing in the prospect's mind. And so what that basically means is people don't buy from you because they understand what you do. People buy from you because they feel understood. And so the more that you can present yourself and package yourself and talk to people so they actually feel that, wow, this person, this company gets me, they get my pain, they get what it is that I'm looking for, then you'll become amazingly attractive. And so that's why it's really important to just sit down and write that sales letter. I'm going to share one tool. I have two groups. One's called Genius Network. That's the group that Patrick was referring to. It's the highest level marketing group in the world. And that's a $25,000 person group. And then I have another group called Genius X, which is a $100,000 person group. And people are like, why the hell would someone pay that a level of money to come and sit around and listen to me babble about stuff? Well, what I do is I curate people that are way smarter than me. And we get together and we talk about, important. These are the tools that we have in our $100,000 a year group is called Write Yourself a Swimming Pool. And I won't get the quote exactly right, but it was a conversation with Paul McCartney and the Beatles. And Paul said, I remember reporters say we weren't anti-material. We were, anti-materialistic. And Paul said, that's not true. I remember sitting down with John and saying, hey, let's write ourselves a swimming pool. And I've always, so we created a tool called Write Yourself a Swimming Pool. And the way that I think about it is when you're going to go to work and you're going to be the rainmaker, and I imagine almost everyone that's listening to this right now, their position is to bring in the cash, to go and get clients, to set up the company so that you can have sales, because nothing happens until a sale is made. You can be the best manager in the world, but if you got no business to manage, you're still going to go bankrupt. So, the whole write yourself a swimming pool. So one of the things we train people to do is say, let's write yourself a swimming pool. So one of the things I do when I'm on focus days, I kind of use my buddy Dan Sullivan's model of free days, focus days, buffer days, is write myself a swimming pool. And so I want to sit down, and during that time, I want to either do a video or I want to do a sales letter or record a podcast. I want to create some marketing initiative that's going to bring in enough money to write myself a swimming pool. And I want to do that for my clients. And so we've got people doing this now where they start thinking, okay, on Tuesday at noon, I'm going to sit down for an hour and I'm going to create some sort of marketing material that's going to write myself a swimming pool. And lo and behold, people are telling us, since we started teaching them this a couple months ago, this has actually changed my life. The way that I think about marketing, then I go, I go in and do it. And then last thing I'll say, because my brain remembers quotes and dirty jokes. But if you ask me, like, what did I do last night, it'd be hard to recall that. But there's this quote from a guy named Anthony Greenback that said, in order to get through an impossible situation, you don't need the reflexes of a Grand Prix driver, the muscles of a Hercules, the mind of an Einstein. You simply need to know what to do. So whenever we're dealing with, like, how do we get through something, you just simply need to know what to do. So the way that I would say, thank you, by the way, it's hopefully this is useful to whoever's listening out there. But the way that I look at things, like with Patrick here and all of the guests, is the way that I frame this is when I engage in educational things, and I do a lot. I mean, company and my team, I spend, well over $100,000 a year just on training. I mean, we do webinars, we go to coaching groups. I mean, I'm a convert of my own system. I'm a huge believer in investing in stuff. The way that I think of things like this are, what are the capabilities that I need to listen for that's going to solve the things that need to get solved? I imagine most people watching this probably buy more books than their ability to read them, attend more seminars than your ability to digest it. But the question is, what is that drive? What is it you're looking for? And the thing that's made it real simple for me is I asked myself this question that was actually given to me by one of my clients named Mike Aguilera, who runs like a $30 million a year HVAC business. And the question is, what needs solved? And so the way that I deal with overwhelm when I'm thinking from my higher self is I simply ask myself, what needs solved? And that's what I listen for. What's the capability? So no one really wants to sit on a long webinar. I mean, what they want is they want a result. And in order to get a result, you need a capability. And if you're really clear on what needs solved, then any educational opportunity you have, any book, any training, whatever, will help direct you and get you there better. And if you're in a situation where, like, God, what book should I read? You just simply ask yourself the question, what needs solved? And then go from there. And what I've realized is that if you get your marketing down, so my whole thing is, what's one decision or what's one mechanism that could solve 100 other problems? So if people are like, well, marketing's not important, I don't know about marketing. I always tell business owners, well, hold your breath. Just hold your breath for like 3 minutes and see how important is oxygen. It's critical. And so whenever a business is gasping for air, it's marketing. And it's like, if you get your marketing down, that's like giving a person who is like struggling to breathe, a business is struggling to breathe, oxygen. And that's why I believe it's one of the most important emphases on it. So the people that you're going to have talk today about that, I think is great. And I'm sure, yeah. So anyway, that's my rant. Is there anything else I should have said?
That was phenomenal. I hope you all took copious notes and watch it on the replay. But as you can see, Joe's got a real depth of knowledge and understanding around this. And he's around the best marketers in the world constantly. So great wisdom. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I got to get you to an appointment.
I'll get it. See you guys.
Yeah, I heard. Why? And he goes, look, Steve Jobs, when he passed, he was worth today's money, $31 billion. Not million, billion. I'm curious, would anybody here in this group trade places with Steve Jobs? And then nobody raised their hand and say, so is it fair to, nobody? Okay, so it's fair to say that your health is worth at least $31 billion. The people are like, yeah. Is it fair to say that your health is the most important thing you have? Yes or no? Yes. So that's why I'm here today. In the next 50 minutes or 10 minutes, you're going to discover blam, blam, blam. So it's a way, and if you're doing a corporate talk, and if you've ever done a corporate talk before, and you get people like this in the room, like almost like the boss, quote unquote, had them to be there. And you can say, and the transition goes, and that's why I'm here. You see, the reason Bob is the boss, right? Bob brought me here today is because he knows when you're here in this meeting, your tasks are accumulating. He knows that. But he also knows without your health, not only cannot produce in this company, but also you cannot be a good dad or mom. And that's why we're here. So every talk that I do, and I recommend to you and your clients to have something unique to break people's thinking patterns and immediately engage them. The second area of a persuasive talk, if you want to write it down, is pre-frame, which is an area that most, even advanced presenters, have no idea what is pre-frame. Here's the best way I can explain pre-frame to you. So let's say you show up in a party and there's like 500 people dancing, have fun right here to my right. Man, they're having an amazing time. And they have one couple fighting. And then your buddy goes, hey man, can you take a picture of the party? And there's like 500 people going crazy, the best party ever. And then you get your picture and you take a picture of the couple fighting, right? Is that an accurate representation of the whole party? Most likely not, right? It's because you frame, right? You choose to frame on that instead of choose to frame on that. And framing in your speaking is what do you want your audience to notice, to focus on, okay? And there's so many frames that you can include in a talk, but let me share with you a couple that is very important. So every single time you speak, you should be doing that or thinking about doing that. Number one, I call content pre-frame. And content pre-frame, when you make your information important. For example, you can say something, let's say you and I were talking in a bar or in a coffee, and you say, Roberto, do you help people overcome fear of speaking? I said, of course. And then I tell you, in my career, in 15 years, I developed 10 tools to help people speak with confidence. Let me share with you my favorite one. When I say that, let me share with you my favorite one. I just increase the value of the information. And that's why you do in a health talk, for example, you can say something like, look, after you open up your talk, you can say something like this. You can say, so in the next 15 minutes, you're about to discover the most effective way, the most effective, natural, and economical way to regain and maintain your health. How many of you want to learn that? You see, a lot of speakers, the language they use, they go, I'm going to teach you. And this is an important note for you guys. You say, I'm going to teach you. Instead of saying, I'm going to teach you, I wanted to change and say, you're about to discover. Let me tell you why. Because in influence research, they talk about the I and the U ratio. Messages that have more I than U do you think is more persuasive or less persuasive? They're less persuasive. So in communication, in email, you want to become aware, because instead of saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, you. So I always catch myself, if I'm saying too many I's, I'm not being as persuasive as I could be. Number two, most people, not you because you're here part of a Zenith program, but most people have a negative association with the teaching, right? Because teaching, so instead of saying I'm going to teach you, you change the frame and say, you're about to discover, because everybody loves to discover. So that's kind of one of the frames that I use in my presentation. The second frame that I want to share with you today is this one. Is participation pre-frame. Write it down, okay? Participation pre-frame. And participation pre-frame is, when you're doing live talks, is a must, okay? It's a must. Let me explain to you. If you've done a lot of public speaking presentations, in my case, I've done over 4,500, you're gonna notice that eventually you know the pattern that if you don't create enough energy in a room, it's really hard to move people into action. It's just hard. So the whole idea is that I like to set a frame in my talk that both the audience and we are in agreement that for them to learn the information, okay, for them to maximize the content, they have to be engaging and participating during the talk. Why? Because I want to make sure they're raising their hands, they're writing things down. They're saying things out loud with energy. And the only way to do that, if I set this participation frame, Roberto, how do I do that? Here's how we do that, right? Here's the language. This is something like, by the way, this is after opening, after I talk about the content frame, I say, hey guys, I've done this health class many times, and I noticed something, that the people who get the most out of it are the ones who participate or engage. Just like, let's say 2 people. Person A hears about going to the gym. Person B is engaged and goes to the gym. Who got the best results? They're going to say person B. And you're going to say exactly. So that's why in the next 15 minutes or half an hour, I want to have you guys to engage. So to raise your hand, write things down, because participation leads to transformation. And they go like, so the first thing, write it down. Participation is transformation. So now they're writing down. And this is important too, because in most of health talks, in the end, you're going to either ask for referrals or going to close for an appointment, right, to come to see in your office. 99%. I would say more like 100%. Even if you're doing a talk only for your your patients, you're still going to ask for referrals in the end for corporate leads or whatever. So that's why I like my talks for people to be writing, because in the end, when I pass a form for them, then I want to make sure that they're just writing the whole time. Now, so talk about the opening pre-frame. By the way, if you're telling a personal story, which I highly encourage you to do, and everybody has a story, then the most effective way that I've seen is to tell your personal story. You introduce the beginning of your talk, and then throughout the talk, right, in the middle of your talk in the body, and in the end, you link a story back to it. So people always ask me, Roberto, should I tell my story or not? Where do I tell? And I always recommend to do it in the pre-frame section, and then you link back to it all the way to talk. Now, then you have the opening, you have the pre-frame, then you have the body. Just write it down, body. And if you're doing a live talk, I'll have you guys answer with my accent, right? To engage, but it's hard to do doing a hangout here. So the body is like probably around 70% of the content of your message. Now, let me give you a way of thinking about the body, okay? This is very important. Because regardless if you're doing a straight chiropractic care, if you're doing a detox talk, if you're doing a stress talk, if you're doing a neuropathy talk, if you're doing a weight loss talk, doesn't matter. It's just the pattern. Remember the code, the analogy? So here's what it is. Problem, impact, cause, solution. How the solution works, and prove it. Let me say again. Problem. Introduce the problem. And the problem could be, look, there's in America, let's say I'm doing a stress talk. Then the problem is stress. A lot of people, according to research, you always want to use in the beginning when you introduce the problem, market data. Just make them know that. This is important. Why? Because you're trying to get the audience to believe you. So you want to be credible, and you want to use market data in the beginning of the problem. So introduce the problem. You can give some statistics about how many people stress out and what stress leads to other conditions. Then the impact, you start asking questions. You know, has anybody here had been super stressed out in work? Then you go home. Let me ask you this: does this stress stay in your job or go home with your family? All right. And then you're going to start through storytelling and questions. You start creating, you make the problem bigger. Now, the difference between a problem and impact is this. Let's say you have a cut in your hand. That's the problem. You put salt is the impact. Yes? And why in your talks, in your health talks, you always want to, my recommendation, if you're doing persuasive speaking, why you want to introduce the problem, the impact. Why? Because your audience right now, they fall into 3 categories. Okay, when you speak to them. Number one, they don't know they have a problem. They have no idea. Number two, they know they have a problem. They don't have urgency. Number three, which is a very tiny, small percentage, they know they have a problem. They have urgency, and they're there looking for a solution. They're shopping around. So the reason you want to introduce the problem and impact is because for the first person who doesn't know have a problem, let's say you're doing a traditional chiropractic talk or stress, right? Man, I didn't know that stress is causing all these conditions. Impact to create some urgency, and then obviously by talking about the problem elegantly and the impact, then you want to position yourself as an expert so that the person who is looking for the solution can hire you. And then obviously problem, impact, then the cause. Why? You want to be very explicit about the cause, because eventually you talk about a solution, then you're going to fix the cause. That's the idea. So when I build up, and the cool thing about this little structure is that I can work with a dentist, a financial planner, chiropractor in the same way, which I do, and get amazing results because I don't need to know the content. That's your job, right? I'm not a doctor, so that's your job. My job is to make sure I help you code the talk. That's the idea. So and obviously there's many different ways to organize a talk. That's one of them. So after I introduce the problem, the impact, the cause, then I'm on the solution. And depending on how long you're speaking, for 10 minutes, 2 hours, or even the setting, sometimes people pay you and I work with doctors, they pay to go to, let's say, a cancer killer talk, or they go to a weight loss talk, and they want to get they're expecting 2 hours or 3 hours, the solution. So you better deliver the solution, right? So then once I build up the problem, the impact, the cause, I introduce the solution, how the solution works specifically, and then you wanna prove it. And the prove it is that you wanna make sure, and this is a whole new subject that I love to talk about, is storytelling. And most of us, our brain, most of us, is not wired to think in terms of story, and storytelling is gold. So the idea is that if you're doing a health talk, you always want to tell specific stories to create identification. And the word identification means that identification is when someone in the audience see himself or herself similar, not equal, similar to the character of the story. So for example, let's say you have 20, 30 people in your audience, and obviously you're going to calibrate, but you personally, I would say, okay, you want to have a male, unless it's just you're doing a woman's workshop, let's say, or a men's workshop. If you have a mixed crowd, then you want to have a man, a female, you want to have a kid there to create identification. And then obviously the age of the audience as well, because you want to create maximum identification. And most people don't think about it. I recorded a video this morning. I try to record a video every day. And this morning I was talking about creating a storytelling database. Now, and this is like, I'm deviating my topic here, but this is so important. If you want to get one thing from this talk today, okay? And I coach so many speakers, professional coaches, careers, leaders, 99% of them, they do not have a storytelling database. So if you don't have one, start developing one today. And a storytelling database is a collection, okay? Is a collection of stories that, number one, you can use in your videos, you can use in presentations, you can reuse them. Most important, that as your office grows, or for example, maybe your staff works with you for 2 or 3 years, they leave and you have a new person, then you can teach and they can learn these stories. Because what I noticed a pattern in chiropractic, the doctor obviously helps, hundreds of people, thousands of people, and he knows or she knows that, yeah, I have all these stories, but then when they go to speak, they don't communicate that clearly to the audience, right? And even their team. And so that's why it's important for you. So I have in storytelling, there's 3 types of story. There is your personal story, okay? That's the story that I'm gonna be able to tell. There is your patient story, which follows the pattern before, during, and after. And then you have a Swiss Army knife story. And the reason I call Swiss Army knife stories is for everything else. I'm gonna give an example in that on the talk here. So now I personally have a collection of stories. Roberto, why do you do that? Well, for example, I have a talk coming up for a big technology company. So after I literally go into my framework, opening, pre-frame, body pose, and close, I go to my database, which I have so many stories already. I just literally plug and play. So now I know 50% of my content's ready. Why? Because there's stories that I shared before with other audiences. And it's the best, the most powerful tool to save time and to influence people. And people have no idea. So if you got one thing from me today, make sure, you know what? I listen to Roberto Guy, and then I decided to do a storytelling database. Because another thing too, that in your meetings, and I know you have meetings with your staff, why not? Because look, if I were a doctor, here's what I would do, my process. I would list the major problems that I solve. Right? And I understand wellness care. Everybody should do chiropractic care. I'm a chiropractic patient. I understand that. But that's not the mindset that most people come in your door, right? So basically, they come with a problem, whatever. The problem is the pain or asthma or, in my case, my wife's case, right? She couldn't get fertility problems, issues. So there's problems. And when you look at those problems, you should have a patient story, at least per problem. Why? Because how often that conversation is going to come up? Every single day. All right? So in your meetings, Add this too. Say, today we're going to talk about our best migraine story, and have your whole team talk about it. Story. Why? Because your team, when they leave your office, they know people too. Now in the party, you'd be like, oh, I have some migraines. Like, oh, let me tell a story about Mary. Boom. So you train them on how to amplify, right? And I see businesses as this gold mine, this piece of gold everywhere, gold meaning stories, and they don't capitalize. Is insane. Look, people can copy your office, can hire your team, can do the same technique, can be in a better location. The only thing they cannot copy is what? Your story, your patient stories. So as a leader, you want to lead with your story. And in a marketplace, here's what I tell my clients, is that if you don't share your story, the marketplace will create one about you. Right? And I went on off a tangent here, going back to structure, opening, pre-frame, body. In the body, you talk about the problem, you talk about the impact of the problem, the cause, solution, how the solution works, and then you're going to tell a story or stories. And then you're going to go to the pre-close. Now, pre-close, when you start offering whatever you're offering. And obviously, it's different for every professional. If you're just closing for an appointment, it's different than if you're selling a course. It's different than if you're selling a product. It's just different. But I want to give some ideas. Traditional chiropractic, after analyzing hundreds of talks, we do a very poor job describing a consultation. Right? First of all, ask you, when you do a talk, how do you name a consultation? Or but I name a consultation. Come on. Can be better, right? So, for example, it could be something like wellness breakthrough examination. Isn't that more sexy? More creates the value in your audience's mind. And then, so number one, if you don't have a name, come up with a good name. Number two, what I'll do, and I know I'm not a doctor again, and therefore I don't give recommendations, but I would come up with every feature in a consultation, right? Everything happens. Man, I do a posture analysis, I do a history exam, I do x-rays, I do a nerve scan, whatever I do. I list it, and then after I list it, I'll transform the feature into, and I'm gonna use benefit language. But what is benefit language? Benefit language are things like, which means to you, so that, so you discover, which really means to you. And when you use these benefit languages, you're going to transform your features into benefits for your audience. For example, you can say, we're going to do an x-ray, which means to you, you're going to be able to see exactly what the nerve interference is and how bad it is, right? So, and you stack, okay? So number one thing I want you to do, one idea, name your consultation, list all the features, use benefit language, and because now you're creating this huge value. Now, I'm going to teach something that, according to my buddy John Davila, some of you know, compliance guy, he said that I eliminate with one question the compliance problem in America, right? So here you go. So I have this on video. So after you describe what you do, you describe, this is high level, okay? After you describe, you pause and you say something like, I'm curious. If you were able to get all these exams in your local hospital, which you can't because they don't do that. And if you didn't have insurance, how much do you think someone would pay for? I have on camera, I average 3,000, 5,000, 4,000, the highest 10 grand. And now the doctor's like scared to close for $100 consultation. You see? And they are telling you, man, that would be like a $5,000 consultation. It's like, I know. And is your health worth that? It's like, boom. It's insane. Right? And if you're doing this right, and if you do speaking, that's why it's not hard to get 70, 80, 100% closing, because you use the strategies. And then you have the close, and then the close is like when you do a specific call to action audience, whatever it is. If you have a form, if you have a staff there that sign up this form today, whatever is your call to action, and then you want to tell a quick story. Remember, I have 3 minutes here. I'm watching the time. So we have your personal story, your patient stories. The last category of story is I call Swiss Army knife story, which is for everything. So here's my little gift for you. I call the one wish story. It goes like this. Before, and drink some water here. So imagine you're speaking and people are signing up. Some people just watching you and say something like, before I go, guys, want to share a quick story with you. There's a family that have a very cool tradition. Every year, when they have a birthday party, if someone is turning, let's say, 20, they eat chocolate cake, and then that person pulls a paper, and the person can have 20 wishes. Now, if someone is turning 13 years old, that person has 13 wishes. Now, one year, dad's turning 40, everybody ate the cake, and the dad put this huge piece of paper. Like, man, this year, I'm taking everybody to Europe. This year, I'm finally run my first triathlon. This year, I'm finishing my book. And people clap. Super excited. Then, next year, dad turning 41. Everybody ate the chocolate cake. Dad pull a small piece of paper. He said, this year, I just have one wish. I want to get my health back. See, the dad was diagnosed with cancer. When you have your health, you have many wishes. When you don't have your health, you just have one. And my goal today as a doctor of chiropractic is to make sure you and your family and everybody in this room, you have as many wishes as possible. Thank you so much. All right. And that totally changed the energy of the room. Changed the energy of the room. And so that's the outline, and I have 1 minute left. That's legit right there. Legit. That's it, Lucas. Oh, man, I have all kinds of legit things. All right. And I'm done. I'm done 1 minute early.
That's excellent. And yeah, we actually have 5 minutes until we have our next presenter. So we have time for questions and comments.
Cool.
So any questions or comments inside, and if not, Roberto, if you have any other knowledge bombs you want to drop on this group, we'll be more than happy to take
let's see the Q&A. I know it's kind of fast. I want to make sure I can cover that. It usually takes me 10 hours to cover the whole thing, and I want to make sure I can do it in 30 minutes. So how about you guys asking me any question, speaking, anything I believe I can handle that. So if I don't know, I will tell you. Any questions?
Yeah, you guys can come off mute at any time. Any questions? I know that was a lot. You could just come off, and we'll be more than happy. Dr. Holly, it looks like, yep.
Hey, hi.
What's up?
I was just trying to put together, was the Swiss Army knife story related to the clothes? Is that where that goes?
Yeah, the Swiss Army knife story could be any story. Basically, I teach like three categories: right? Your personal story, why you're there speaking. Then you have your patient story, which is to illustrate what you can do. And the Swiss Army knife story, you can use in a closing, you can use as an opener, or you can use, let's say, even in the body representation, you can do that too. It's more like a category. The reason I like to call Swiss Army knife story is because it's stories that you can use for everything else. For example, if you want to create urgency, I have a story for urgency too. When you can say something like, guys, imagine I'm here in San Diego and I want to go to New York last minute. Then I go to the airport and I go to Southwest and say, I want to get a ticket to New York. And the lady looked at me and said, no problem, Roberto. I have 2 flights. One goes San Diego, Vegas, New York. That flight leaves in 1 hour. Or you wait 3 hours here, you go to New York. Which one do you want? And I go, hold on. Let me think about it. Then I leave the line. I get the phone. I call my wife. Should I wait 1 hour here, then go to Vegas, change planes, New York? Or should I wait 3 hours here and then go straight to New York? She goes, you know what? I don't want to wait. Go back to the counter and say, hey, I want to buy the ticket to Vegas. The lady looked at me and said, I'm sorry, but that flight is gone. You see, even though I have a nominal decision, time has been a decision for me. And tonight, you're in the same situation. See, subluxations don't wait. Heart disease doesn't wait. Cancer doesn't wait. Don't allow time to make a decision for you. Right? So that is an example of a Swiss Army knife story that illustrates acting with urgency. And technically, you can use anywhere, in the opening, the pre-frame, so anywhere.
So what's the main goal of the close? Like, is it urgency or is it?
Yeah, it's urgency. Yeah. If you are, for example, if you are doing a talk and you are closing for an appointment, you want to have urgency. They want to have is this urgency to take out, but they always want to have hope. Without hope, people don't take action. Right? If you're doing more like an inspirational talk where you let's say you're not closing, more inspirational talk, then you can have a more like a feel good type of story. So that's the idea. but for sure you want to have an urgency and some type of hope built in. Otherwise, you're not going to take action. I love these questions, though.
Thank you very much for that question, Dr. Holly. I'm going to, did you have any follow-up questions? It looks like you kind of froze there, so I want to make sure we don't jump on. Okay, she might have been frozen. So okay. I'm going to throw it to inside to everybody else. Please let me know if there's any questions or comments while we're waiting on Mike to, join us. It looks like Dr. Holly dropped maybe some tech difficulty. So while we're waiting on Mike to join, Roberto, do you have anything else that you want to drop on the group here?
I'm super passionate about speaking in chiropractic, and I personally feel that we have the coolest solution for healthcare. And if you get one thing from me, is that I hope in my heart that you're out there advocating chiropractic at the highest level possible, not only by being an amazing doctor, right? But most important, also in addition to, most importantly, in addition to communicating to a community, because as a non-chiro 4 years ago, I had no clue what chiropractic could do for a family. And now I do. So I hope to inspire you at least to get the message out. That's all. So I have. And if you learn more about what we do, I do events. I have a speaking club for chiros. The best way to, let me give you my email, is Roberto@Influenceology. That's my email. And my company name is Influenceology, and I have a couple, I'm finishing up my book, and I have a couple chapters for free. One is on closing, one is on overcoming fear. So if you go to Influenceology, download for free, and give me and read it, and let me know how you like it. You know, I'm finishing up a book this year. So that's the idea. Influenceology.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us and for an amazing presentation, as always, Roberto. We appreciate you. I know that's going to be a lot of information for everybody to digest, but I'll get that link over to everybody, influenceology.com. And also, thank you for sharing your email in case anybody has any questions for you. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks so much. You guys have an amazing day. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good one. All right. With that, let's go ahead. We are on schedule again, and we're back with Mike Klein. So you guys have seen Mike Klein. He was on our open office hours about a week and a half ago, and he is back with us to drop some marketing bombs on you. So Mike, I'm throwing it off to you, and take it away.
All right. Well, I will just dive right in here, see if I can get my screen to share appropriately. And I got a little less time than originally thought, right, Krista? So you want me to move a little quicker through this?
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're going to have you go for about 20 minutes. If you want to cut it a little bit early for some questions and answers, that's up to you.
Got it. Well, I'm going to start my little slideshow here. Some of you may have heard me give this presentation before. Some of you may have not, but this is really the philosophy of marketing, kind of the basics of online marketing. And, we're just going to kind of dive right into this here. So that's kind of using these same concepts from philosophy formula, is that your philosophy around marketing and sales dictates the size of your business today and its future. So all of this boils down to truly learning marketing and how to achieve your business growth goals. And we're kind of starting with this because a lot of people have a bad relationship with sales and marketing. And we'll get to that here in a minute. So real quick, who am I? I'm a self-taught Indiana computer programming geek. I did a degree in engineering physics. Space was always the big dream. Stumbled into online marketing in 2004, kind of that first wave when kind of the online stuff really started to kind of skyrocket. Whoops, not what I wanted. There we go. So the topics that we're going to cover here quickly today are, what is marketing? The premise of it, the vision of it, the purpose of it, and the strategies behind it. And we're going to go over some of the online marketing basics. And then I'm going to show you a case study that we prepared as well from a fellow chiropractor. We jump into the premise here, the definitions from about.com, the difference between advertising and marketing here. You guys can read these as well. I'm going to read them out loud. It's the paid, public, non-personal announcement of a persuasive message by an identified sponsor. The non-personal presentation or promotion of its products to its existing and potential customers. Right? So this is non-personal persuasive messaging. Marketing is the systematic planning.
Mike,
right?
I
That's
hate to
the key
interrupt
thing.
you. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
It looks like the only slide we're seeing is the case study number 1. Oh, maybe that
Oh.
has.
Is it?
There we go.
Do you see the
There we go.
beginning of the?
About. I see premise and marketing. Yes.
Okay. Did you not see any of these slides I was moving through?
No, I guess not. I thought my camera was frozen, but no, we didn't see that.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to move quick here
It's
for
good
you, and
now.
I apologize for that. Premise and approach now.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, so I kind of talked through this. I won't repeat myself entirely, but premise and approach here, philosophy around your marketing and sales dictates the size of the business today and its future. I'll just bounce through these next couple. You're still seeing me, Krista?
I still see about and the premise. If you have moved on, yeah.
I wonder if we're a little slow here. You're hearing me just fine though, right?
Hearing you just fine. And if you want everybody, we can share these slides with everybody as a group as you go through it. So if you want to just proceed, and we'll share the slides afterward too. If that works.
Okay. Are you seeing the topics right now with what is marketing, online marketing basics, case studies, or no?
I'm still seeing the premise, marketing, and the about.com page, or slide, I should say.
Got it. Let me see if my sharing stopped for some weird reason with Hangouts here. You are screen sharing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely screen sharing. It's just stuck on the one slide for right now.
Yeah, let me I'm sorry guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna stop my screen share and then I'll do a full screen share. Sometimes when you do just the application, it can be a little weird. All right, what's that look like for you?
Philosophy of marketing. Yep, there you go. Going through them, perfect.
Now we're moving? All right, are you seeing the topics now?
You got it, yep.
Perfect. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So topics we're going to cover here, I said them, but now you can see them. What is marketing? Really the premise, the vision, the purpose, and the strategy components behind it. We're going to talk some online marketing basics and then do a case study. So I think this is where I left off here. The difference in the premise between advertising and marketing here is really key. And marketing being the systematic planning is the key thing that we care about here. And it's how we really need to be thinking about all of the marketing endeavors, not just online, but all of them in the company. Advertising really being the sort of blanket statements that are thrown out there. It's kind of like throwing an ad in the newspaper that raises awareness. Like, we don't ever want to raise awareness. We want people to take action. We want them to take specific action, and we want that action to be quantifiable. That's really the key difference in the premise here between advertising and marketing. I made mention early on, or kind of when I started this, is that a lot of people have a bad relationship with marketing and selling. I play this video for you guys, but it's worth looking up. You can just look up "Is Selling Evil" on YouTube. It's a little hand-drawn animation. It's about 6-7 minutes long. And it really dives into why a lot of people struggle with putting out persuasive marketing messages. A lot of people are kind of afraid to offend somebody, afraid to get noticed. And it's really something that you have to look at in yourself to determine, are there contradictions with the way that you're showing up your own business? It's not uncommon to have them, and a lot of people never dive into them. Obviously, Philosophy Formula is the program itself is dove into that in depth. So some of this is actually going to probably resonate pretty well if you get a chance to check out this video. Specifically to online marketing itself, so the vision of online marketing, it's marketing that works for you while you sleep. Marketing is what gets people to the stage. Sales is what happens when they're watching the stage. In this case, there we go. Had one more in there. For you while you sleep, we have to say, well, what does that mean? Does that mean, new appointments being booked? Does that mean, new people finding me on a website? Does that mean phone calls? It can mean whatever is necessary for the business to become more automated and redundant, repeatable, quantifiable. To where you're not having to be pulled in to these different components of the process in order for it to continue. classic book on this is Strategic Database Marketing by Arthur Hughes. A lot more depth than anybody's really going to need to go into, but it's the basis for how we use digital tools, or call it computer technology, and a little bit of math, a little bit of statistics, to really segment, identify our ideal prospects, how to put messages in front of them, how to really determine what's working, what's not working. So obviously the purpose, enable business growth, communicating your message in this automated way. And you can really amplify your efforts in exponential ways these days. So we'll end up building campaigns for clients where the initial approach is to figure out what is the cost per acquisition of a customer, right? It's like phase one. Okay, it costs me $47 to acquire a customer, or maybe it's $247. And then the next question is, what is the lifetime account value of that customer? Hey, that customer is worth $2,000 or $10,000. Next question, over what period of time? How quick do we actualize that? With those numbers, we can basically reverse engineer and figure out what can we afford for ads online or ads in a newspaper. We can always quantify it. We can reverse engineer, quantify, and then scale up very quickly. So we'll build campaigns where we're spending very little money and just tweaking and tweaking until we can get our numbers right, to where our cost per acquisition numbers make sense, and then we can scale it. Then you turn that budget up 10x, 50x, and that's when you have really, really big, fast success. In digital context, online marketing is the systematic planning, implementation in the online context. So faster. But the case study that I'm going to talk about here is actually in the direct mail space, which I'm not sure how many of you out there are still sending out direct mail, for coupon kind of promotions or other variations. But direct mail is not dead. A lot of people will talk about that in the marketing space, but in reality, it's alive and well, and it's actually more effective now than ever because so many people stopped doing it. Where a lot of people moved online and said, oh, it's much cheaper. Well, yes and no. A lot of competition in the online space these days. But as long as you understand the testing here and what goes into really carefully quantifying of every ad that you put out there, every offer you put out there, you can be successful in any context. So the strategy behind online marketing here is that traffic's an asset, leads are assets, sales are assets, and we're really just refining these assets to greater and greater value. Sales to lifetime customer. And then we say, well, what are we doing in each one of these phases? How are we capturing traffic? Visitor lands on a website. They might bounce around from one page to another page, or not bounce at all and just hit the back button. There's nothing there that kept them, that incentivized them to stay, to engage, to learn more, to connect, right? So that's we get into a concept. I'm jumping ahead for a second. We get into a concept called an ethical bribe. Bribing somebody to give up a little bit of information about themselves so that we can continue the conversation. So take the traffic, convert it to a lead. A lead is somebody that's remarketable. So most important thing to do with traffic, I just said it, convert it to a lead. Most important things with leads, convert them to sales. Sales, what's that lifetime account value? So most websites tend to kind of fail at this, and they don't test. They don't change out an ethical bribe or change up the website to really get engagement. They treat the website like a brochure, and that's not what we want. We don't want brochures. We want people to take specific actions that we set forth. Kind of mentioned a second ago, we want to capture people's information or any other method to remarket to them. So marketing in the online world, we really just look at emails, right? So let's grab an email address with an irresistible offer and continue to build a relationship via that method as well. Or it could be a physical address. Maybe we want to send them something physical because that's what our business does really well. Thing that shows up, or for a thought leader of some kind, maybe it's a physical book. Email. So give us your email to engage. Many of you would have seen the one on the right, which is the philosophy formula homepage. right? Whole purpose of that page is to entice chiropractors to give us their name and their email address, and in return, we're providing them with free, valuable content. And extremely valuable content at that many of you have probably listened to in total. So that value exchange is the important part there for us to be able to build a relationship. Facebook on the left, can't do anything on Facebook unless you're actually a member. They've opened it up a bit now, but in the past it was total roadblock. Absolutely must be a member in order to do anything. It's a neat business model. Works if you're a Facebook, doesn't work so much if you're a small business. Here's an example of Livestrong's. This is an older screenshot, so it's not the exact same now, but get on our newsletter. But that's not that appealing. That's not that exciting. What? What's that about? Right? Like there's no hook there. What's the hook? If we go back to philosophy formula, we're really talking about the value of this training. One, 10,000 or 11,000 DCs have been part of this. Patrick's talking about the purpose of it. If you scroll on the page a little bit more, there's more benefit statements to it. So the ethical bribe for engaging somebody has to be that. It has to be a bribe, and it's got to be ethical in nature. So as you think about this, you'll start noticing these kinds of offers on websites as you browse the web. And a lot are pretty weak. A lot are sign up for our newsletter. Which sure, if I'm super interested in that topic at hand, or that website, I might sign up for the newsletter. But it's not near the benefit of get this free video series that might change my life, or sign up and get a coupon maybe, right? But that's again selling with price reduction, selling with price, which is something I don't like at all when it comes to offers. So, what makes the irresistible offer? Really, the right information the visitor's looking for. We want to know them. We really want to get in. We want to spend a lot of time thinking about who do we want to attract, who is that avatar, and what do they need. What is the pain in their life that they're trying to solve right now that they showed up to our website for? That's what we want to speak to. We want to speak to it as quickly as possible with as much relevancy as possible. And all of this is about testing, right? We're just testing different offers, testing different traffic sources. Facebook ads in a geolocal Facebook ads, target just your city or a small little radius around an office. And what are we sending them? Right? Are we just asking them to come in? Are we providing them with some value on back pain or other health and wellness components of how chiropractic impacts those? It's all about who you're serving. And some of you may be serving younger audiences, more on the child side. Those kinds of things are getting into the mind of your ideal customer, your avatar, is really what this is about to build good offers. So this can all be automated too. So what tool that you're choosing to use, there's a bunch listed at the bottom of different tools that are out there that help automate these relationships. But most important, it's not the technology you use, it's the logic. So I say build a marketing map, which is what are we sending people when? We take that traffic, we convert it to a remarketable asset, a lead. What are we sending them? When are we sending it? Is it digital? Is it physical? How are we building a relationship? It's like dating, right? So some of these can get really complicated. You want to start simple, but as you better understand your avatar and what they're after, you can continue to add content to it. And the content can span, like I said a second ago, it can go from digital to physical. We can get survey data for people. We can then segment those survey people into different buckets and send them different content, different pieces of content based upon that. These maps in our world can get really, really, really large. In most of your businesses, I imagine they won't, but you got to think about map for a lead to get it to convert to a sale, and what's the marketing map to get a sale to maximize the lifetime account value. Sure, we can sell that person a subscription service to a wellness package, but what else are we communicating with them outside of them being in the office? What does that look like? Are we listening to them and really getting into their hearts and their homes? So you're not marketing also if you're not measuring. So that difference between advertising and marketing, the systematic planning, we have to be able to measure, right? So if it's online ads, what's our ad spend to, sure, the clicks matter, but what are the leads? What are the sales? What's the lifetime account value? Absolutely critical that we know those numbers for every one of our traffic sources. In the online world, Google Analytics is one of the best free tools that's actually out there. You can do pretty much everything you need to do with it for tracking any media sources that you would go and spend money with. There we go. And one of the things about marketing in general is a lot of people think that they need more traffic. You know, more web traffic, more foot traffic in the door. I just need more traffic. We always push back on this because it's about what are your conversion rates first and foremost, and are you know, what are the conversion rates through the whole process? Are you really optimizing the traffic you have to convert it to leads, to sales, and have you looked at that lifetime account value? Because there's always more traffic to be had. I mean, there is just a tremendous amount of places to go and find traffic. And particularly for a physical office, geo-local SEO, I call it a real hot area right now that one could be optimizing for more search-based foot traffic coming in the door. But are you really maximizing every single visitor into the physical office, onto the web page, etc.? Really the name of the game. Because once you can optimize that, and once you really know those numbers, yeah, it's out there, especially when you can afford it. Because you know what you can afford per new customer. Right? The new customer is worth $5,000 in lifetime account value. What would you pay for it? Wrong. So, which traffic? You got to test them. Carefully test traffic sources. Highlighted, underlined, nothing is worse than crappy traffic to confuse you. That I can't emphasize enough when it comes to buying media or placing ads. The right traffic is completely worth paying for. But back to what I said before, is you got to be able to quantify it. You got to really know those processes. A quick recap of the basics. Market, don't advertise. Traffic's an asset, convert it to leads. Build a relationship. Trust from prospects is everything. You know, it's never been harder to make the first sale and easier to make the second sale, mainly because of the amount of information that's out there. You know, we're fighting and vying for trust, and a lot of people don't give it, I'd say, give enough credit. Oh, what's the right way? I'm not saying this quite the right way. Trust is the key thing to maintain through the entire process in today's world. I mean, it's always been critical in business, but it's, I'm going to say, more important than ever now. So know your analytics and customer lifetime account value, and then test. All about testing. So I've run through this pretty quick. I think I'm right at time on you, Krista, but I'm going to do this quick case study.
Sure.
Okay, so this is a fellow chiropractor here. So this is a free dinner ethical bribe case study. So we're going to just step through a couple of the marketing pieces and look at what do the numbers shake out to be. It's actually, so it's a free gourmet dinner. We actually did a couple of pieces were done both physically. One was we did a print. There was a print ad. There was a postcard piece. It's a free dinner, but the hook on this thing is, if you look at it, you know, one, people with belly fat. Are you at your wit's end and trying to get rid of it? So it's really about stress hormones and health. So it's a different spin on, you know, any kind of just pure chiro general is the hook here, and the ethical bribe is this free dinner. So here's another version of the ad. Bounce forward. Here was a postcard mailer coupon. Same concept. You can see you know, true cause of belly fat associated with stress hormones and health. So if I jump to the stats for this thing, so 4 ads in the paper on the print ad, $2,500, 6 talks at a time, 186 people confirmed, 111 showed, 33 people actually were brought into the program that was at hand. You can see some of the dollars there, and 13 new patients to the program's calculations were worth about $65,000. So that's over the course of I think about a year, as I remember. But to spend $2,500 and some time, right? We didn't factor time or a little bit of staff time, so you'd have a little higher total cost. But to generate $65,000 in business, from print ads at that kind of a price, pretty good. Postcards on the right, you can see kind of a similar thing happening there. Single mailing, lower numbers of confirms and shows. 18 paid for a consult, almost broke even just on the consults. So there's still actually looks like there's, last time I had this data, still some more consults to go, and you should have between 7 and 10 new patients from that. So pretty good return there too. So just knowing these numbers and being really cognizant of how you test. So this is kind of a rush presentation. Normally I do it much longer. So I don't know, Krista, if you want to have any questions open for this, or we could cue them to the end. But if you want this presentation, you can shoot Krista an email. And yeah.
That's excellent. Well, I'm going to throw it to everybody inside. Are there any questions or comments for Mike before we cut him? Let him go. No. All right. Well, we will go ahead. Go ahead and share those with me, Mike. I will get them out to everybody, so you all will have those slides for you to review. Thank you very much, Mike. It was great to have you on, and great to drop more marketing knowledge bombs on everybody. And we appreciate you very much, and look forward to having you on again here in the future.
Sounds good. Happy to answer any questions too. I know it was kind of rushed, bouncing through a lot of content there. So I hope some of it connected and some of it was valuable.
Well, it was excellent. And if there are any questions or comments that anybody would like to share when we send the slides, please send them my way. I'll be more than happy to get them over to Mike, and we'll get some responses there as well. So thanks again, Mike. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time very much, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Sounds good.
Have a wonderful afternoon and a great Memorial Day weekend. Without further ado, our next presenter is the fantastic, the fabulous, the wonderful Dr. Bo Pierce. How's it going, Dr. Bo?
Hey, what's going on, Krista? Can I say I'm pumped to be here today? I'll tell you what. I'm a philosophy formula graduate, as all of you who are watching this as well. I see on the bottom, is it Holly and Mark and Lucas all there? What's up, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. Looks like a couple of you guys are actually in your office today. So thank you for serving on this Memorial Day weekend. I'm here to provide value for you guys. I am a chiropractor just like all of you are. I guess I'll give you the quick 30-second flyby as far as who I am, and then I will go into probably about 20 minutes of just talking, and let's have some conversation, because I'm here to help you guys, if that's cool. I think, matter of fact, Chris, the last time we did this, there was like 16,000 people when we did the vaccines revealed one, and you're like, I can't even keep up. So
it broke the page completely.
Right. So I'm excited about today, and I'm here to help you guys if you're watching this. Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know me, you probably know me most famously, I guess, in the chiropractic world. I'm the founder of Circle of Docs. Dr. Patrick Gentempo obviously is my partner in that. My short story is that I've been in practice for 7 years. When I was in school, I was kind of the loudmouth guy that just ended up talking to everybody and making a lot of friends, which is great. And somebody said, you know what, hey, I need a resource to figure out how to grow a practice. And we all got out of practice and said, so how many times do I treat a hot back? And how do I set up a business structure? I don't have any idea what to do. So I started this very basic thread, like a Facebook thread almost, so to speak. Mind you, this is 2011 at that point. And it kind of blew up. Dr. Gentempo came on as my partner a couple years ago, and every single day we post new content, we do videos, we do blogs, product reviews, etc., etc. And about 1.5 years ago, a couple of our articles went, I would say, uber viral, meaning that they had over 1 million page views. Now, as you guys know, chiropractors are only about 60,000 worldwide, so how the heck did that happen? And obviously through the power of social media and the virality of the topic, which, as you guys probably know, was on the topic of vaccinations. So to make a long story short, we are the creators of Vaccines Revealed, which is now a 7-figure business. We are now coming in, and in August, we'll be coming out with GMOs Revealed. So if you guys are excited about that, it's going to be mind-blowing as well. We have some of the top experts in the world that are going to be sharing with all of you guys. And yeah, and I'm still a chiropractor, guys. I'm still just like every single one of you that's probably watching this. I'm on the tables with my patients 4 days a week. I have a beautiful beautiful practice here on the central coast of California in a little town called Santa Maria. I have one associate. I'm already looking for that next one, and I'm blessed, you know, and I really think that it all goes back to, and I will contribute this to my two biggest chiropractic mentors in my life. The first one would actually be my father, who I'm in practice with today. You know, he's been in practice for 35 years at this point. And the second one would be Dr. Gentempo. You know, as a partner with Circle of Docs, he's literally drilled it into my head. And we've gone over and repped it. And everything that he says, first off, guys, in the philosophy formula, I will say this: he lives those principles. He lives his philosophy. He checks everything that he does, says, and thinks against his philosophy. And I'm telling you guys, it's crazy. We've had some huge contracts come across our table at Revealed and Circle of Docs, and we've had to turn them down because it didn't align with our philosophy. And I really hold true to that fact that, you know, philosophy is number one. And you know, a lot like him, we actually share a lot of the core values. And one of my biggest core values is significance. And that's the reason that I'm here today, is because I want my life to be significant to the people that I serve as a doctor, but also to you guys as chiropractors that are out there. I want to be able to help you guys amplify and elevate your voice out and into the world. So I'm here today to literally, with open arms. I don't have a website, I have nothing to pitch, literally. This is just me and you having a conversation, and I'm here to help. I'm here to give you some guidelines, so to speak. I'm here to let you ask a lot of questions of me. People always ask me, Bo, how do you make content go viral? What should I post? How often should I post? What's the philosophy behind it? So to speak, what is your digital philosophy in a way? So I'm here to share those with you guys over the next few minutes. And as we go along, ask questions. Crystal, pop them over to me. That's all good, right? So I think the first thing that, if you're thinking about what should I be doing, how do I start down this road of getting, you know, building an online community, for me, it comes down to one word, and that one word is disruption. That's right. I believe as a chiropractor, you have to create disruption in your community. Now, a lot of people think, what do you mean you have to disrupt your community? You have to go out and fight somebody? No, you do not have to fight anybody. But what you have to do is you have to at least have somebody perk their ears up and their eyes up and say, what is that guy or girl saying? What is he or she talking about, right? See, as chiropractors, we're outcasts. I don't think that there's any doctor in the world that would actually deny that we're outcasts, right? We're not medical doctors. We don't necessarily fit into the medical model a lot of the times. You know, where does a chiropractor really fit? And as a profession, I think as a whole, we're kind of trying to figure that out. You know, are we fitting into the medical model, or should we throw the middle finger at the medical model and go somewhere else? And the suggestion that I make, actually, what I suggest I do is I look at different business types. You know, I posted a video about this the other day on Facebook, talking about disruption. And I looked at the taxi cab industry to start out with. Now, most of you guys have probably all used a taxi, right? It gets you from point A to point B and what have you. But a few years ago, a company came in and disrupted the marketplace. And that company was Uber. I bet maybe the people have watched it, you know, most of you guys have probably taken an Uber, right? How do they disrupt? What did they do differently? And why are they such a growing and big business right now? Well, I'll tell you what, they changed their focus. And follow me through here for a second. Taxis primarily focused on two different marketplaces. They focused on getting people to and from airports and to and from hotels. That was it. That was 90% of their focus. Uber came along and said, you know what, let's personalize the people moving or the taxi cab experience. So they would pick you up wherever you were, right? You press Uber, it shows you the car, the license plate, heck, having the person that's driving the car, right? So they have gone and personalized the taxi experience. May I ask you that maybe it's time for us to actually start personalizing the healthcare experience as well. We know what the medical model is. We know what their taxis, what their airports, and what their hotels are, right? That's drugs and surgery. But what's Uber? Where does chiropractic fit into that? May I suggest that we actually walk in and actually claim our space as the organic healthcare option? Think about that. Would that not make a lot of sense? Is there not a lot of people wanting to live a more organic life? I know in our little small community of 150,000 people there's moms that want their kids to grow up naturally. There's a huge CrossFit community right now. And guess what? Those people aren't looking for back pain and neck pain relief. They're looking for, how can I live a healthier lifestyle for a longevity? I think that the chiropractic profession needs to step into that model and absolutely claim that space. So I'm going to teach you guys how right now to start using tools like social media, like video, to start to get out there and claim that space, or claim whatever space that you want in your community. Maybe you're a peds doctor, or maybe you work with elderly people, or you're that CrossFit coach or a functional med doc. That's great. The first thing that you need to do when you want to disrupt a community, disrupt a marketplace, is claim your space. So whoever you are, the first thing that I would suggest you do is make a video saying, this is who I am, and this is who I am in XYZ community. So what I did in my practice, I'll tell you. Hi, I'm Dr. Bo, and this is how I perceive health in the Santa Maria Valley community. And I posted it everywhere I could, and I wrote about it, and I used every single company that I could in my languaging and the healthy other places. And guess what? It got shared virally. I think it had 35,000 shares in our little 150,000 people community. That's really good stuff. So number one, disruption. We need to define our community. The second thing that you need to do is we want to use data to our advantage. Data to our advantage. Now, first off, I will tell you this, I am a creative by natural. I love pictures, I love videos, I love thinking outside the box, but not until I started working at a deeper level on Circle of Docs, on Revealed, that data became so incredibly important. Now, you guys just listened to Mike Klein speak. That guy is like, if there was like 10% of data, he's like 10,000% of data. He is so crazy smart on data that it almost is like overwhelming sometimes. So if you guys picked up one or two little gems on that, that will definitely help. But here's what I want you guys to kind of know from a 50,000 foot view on this. As far as data, there's two types of data that I believe every chiropractor should be tapping into. The first one is the stuff that we are actually doing inside the profession right now. I want you to start paying attention to the different companies that are producing data. And here's what I mean by that. I'm talking about CLA, right? They have the scan, that's data. Pro Adjuster, data. How about ChiroTouch? If you're a ChiroTouch user, every single one of your adjustments is being logged as data. Foot levelers, data, 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 data. So much so all the way to the research that's being produced. Dr. Heidi Havoc doing amazing stuff. Life University, Palmer College of Chiropractic, they're creating data, and why is the answer. It's for you as a doctor. It's for me as a doctor, so I can start sharing those messages to my community. That's so important, guys. The data is there to help not only just say, hey, look, this is chiropractic, no, but to solidify the works that you're doing on the tables. Think about that. If BJ Palmer would have the data today, of which he wish he had, back in 1895 or 1910, how much further would chiropractic be? Those guys just believed in it to the death that they would literally go to jail. They'd walk them down to jail because they believed in the chiropractic adjustment and the power of innate. And now we're seeing that science is backing up and validating everything that we already kind of knew and took on faith in the first place. So use the data that's being generated inside the profession. Use Circle of Docs. I don't care. I want you guys to read every day and say, hey, look, take this article, make a video about it, share it with your community. Hey, here's 5 proven stretches to help out piriformis. And by the way, get adjusted. Hey, did you know that X, Y, and Z supplement helps with headaches? Also, the chiropractic adjustment helps that. Use the data that we provide for you guys. That's why we do it. Services like Amplified is out there. Literally, all you got to do, press one button, it posts to all of your social media channels. That's smartly using data that's generated in the profession. The second type of data that I want you to look at is things outside the profession. Now, many of you probably have heard about the opioid epidemic that's happening across America, right? I mean, it's been on Fox News, CNN, and guess what happened last week? Dr. Steve Shoshani was on Dr. Oz, right? Only, I don't know, I think there's 28 million people watched Dr. Oz last week. And guess what he talked about? The power of chiropractic adjustment helping with people's pain levels, helping with the nervous system to function correctly. That is incredible data that you should be sharing with your audience. Now, I keep saying data, 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 but really what this is are stories, stories, stories. And anytime that you think about sharing things on social media across your channels, if you're writing content, really what you want to become is you want to become a storyteller. That's what this all comes down to. You guys probably already do this in your practices every single day. A person comes in, they start telling you their story, right? Oh, doc, here's what I did. I've been a CrossFitter for, blah, 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 blah. Now my shoulder's not working. I got dysfunction. Great. Well, let me tell you a little bit of story about how we can kind of help with that, how we can increase your range of motion, how we can get you back to doing the lifts and the exercises that you want. It's a story, guys. You got to become a great storyteller. That's what is so incredibly important. So I'm going to back it up. 3 things that disrupt a marketplace. Number 1, define your audience. Number 2, use data to your advantage. And number 3, distribute that data. That's right. Content distribution is so incredibly important. You just learned from Mike Klein about how to build an email list, give an ethical bribe away, produce some sort of stellar content piece, right? We call those, I can't remember. We give a pivotal piece, right? Or a roundup where you talk about 20 different pieces of content that are out in the world and you give your opinion on it. So now we want to distribute it, right? People will always ask me, Bo, number one, what type of content should I be distributing out in the world? Let me give you some guidelines without giving you really specific answers. The first type of content, and I'm going to just kind of give the brief overview here, is you want your content to be relevant to your defined market. So I would look in those marketplaces and find out what type of content is relevant to them. And why it's on the top of my mind, let's just use the CrossFit community, for instance, right? What are they really interested in? They're interested in obviously learning how to lift more, how to become faster, how to have a deeper squat, increase their range of motion, right? Don't you think all of that comes back to the nervous system? Could you start telling a story that's relevant to that community? Absolutely, right? Not only do you want to start giving relevant information out, you want to give useful information out as well. If you're a doc that's adjusts and also does PT in his practice, start talking about the things that you do. Graston, ART, laser, whatever things that you do in your practice that gives you that slight advantage over the guy next door, I would definitely want to be talking about that to that community. So you want to be relevant. You want to have useful information, and then you want to co-create that content with someone else. And that's really the thing that puts it over the edge. And that would be like, hey, I'm here at Depot Fitness right now, CrossFit facility, and I want to talk to you guys about XYZ. So now you're actually doing it in their space, in their arena, so to speak. And guess what? That does nothing but drives referrals. It does nothing but increase the ability for you to be seen out in the community and for you to be the authority. That is what's so vitally important, is to be the authority in your marketplace. People ask, what type of content do I post? Videos? Do I post articles? What's the best, right? And I'm gonna tell you, just do. That's what it comes down to. Just do something first off. Something is better than nothing, right? In my opinion, there's 3 types or 3 kind of areas of content that you have to put out in the social media space, right? You got to put pictures, you got to put videos, and you got to put written text. Those are the 3. The combination of it is what the secret sauce is. I will tell you that all the studies across the world right now tell us that 83% of people that are accessing Facebook are doing so, and they're looking at video. So start producing video content. Hey, here's what it comes down to, guys. Because people are like, well, I got to get the perfect video, or like, how many times a day should I post it, right? Social media is 3 things, right? It's quality, quantity, and frequency. That's all it comes down to. And it's like a triangle, so to speak, where no side is more important than the other side, right? So if you're posting 1 piece of quality content a week, that's it. Guess what? You're not going to get a lot of coverage. You see guys posting 6 pieces of content a day, but it's all bad. Again, not the greatest amount of coverage, but it's the people that mix all 3 of them up. They're posting lots of good quality content on a frequent basis. You know, I personally post about 2 to 3 times a day, and I bet 2 to 3 times a day on my practice page as well. Now, I like to mix a lot of the content up, so I use Amplified. I'll be honest with you, it's not a plug for Amplified. It's just something that I like to use because they provide really high quality images with like cool graphics and stuff over the top of it. So that's one good piece of content. I have a content calendar where every day I pick one thing out that I'm going to talk about, and I literally take my iPhone and I hold it up in front of me and I talk to my audience. You know, people respond very, very highly to how-to content. Matter of fact, I would probably look at the top 25 things that you're doing in your practice right now, like the conditions that you're seeing, the people that you're seeing, the market that we just talked about that you're serving, and write down content ideas around those. Ask the people in your practice, hey, what do you want to learn more about? Hey, how can I help you more? You know, what questions do you have? And you'll find out. You guys probably do the same thing. You say the same thing over and over and over and over again, right? So use those opportunities to produce content and then actually show what you're doing in your office. I cannot tell you how many times, and you guys probably know this if you're watching this as well, somebody will come into your practice and you'll say, oh, amazing that you're here. How'd you find out about us? Blah, 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 blah. Yep. And they're like, oh, it's my first time a chiropractic appointment. Oh, fantastic. Great. Are you a little bit fearful about getting adjusted? Yeah, you know, I saw some YouTube stuff. Man, it looked pretty crazy, the stuff that people are doing out there, you know? So what you want to do is try to lower those barriers. So I take pictures of patients in my practice. Of course, you want to have them sign a release. I show a lot of people getting adjusted, coming in feeling horrible and bad, and then transformed with a chiropractic adjustment, with a testimonial on the back end of it. I can't tell you how powerful that stuff is, guys, because why? It's other people, and it's so relatable back to the person that's actually watching it. My top 3, I guess I would say, pieces of content, video content, would definitely be, you know, showing what I do in my practice as a how-to, meaning like here's how I do X, Y, Z. And the third thing is answering people's questions. You'd be amazed when you say, hey, I'm going to talk about cervical degeneration today. What questions do you have? Facebook Live has an incredible reach, right? So what's your question? What does he mean maximize coverage? I know I'm multiple times a day. Does this really mean adjusting to millennials? Is that what you're asking? As far as maximizing coverage? She's like, I gotta type in here.
Dr. Hall, you can come off mute.
Okay.
Yeah, come off mute.
Okay.
Talk to you.
You got me? You're talking about quality, quantity, and frequency on social media all being important to maximize coverage. And I just don't really know what maximize coverage means. And obviously from the rest of my question, like, it's a huge stretch for my brain to think I would be posting multiple times a day, except for that I understand that's what the millennials are all about. So I need a little more bridging, I think. Help.
Beautiful. So let's bridge it, right? So I'll answer your last question first and first question last. How about that? So as far as posting multiple times a day, what I would suggest first off is that you do a combination of automated posts and organic posts. So your automated stuff is using like Amplified. It's using tools that are out there like Hootsuite or CoSchedule. Those are actually things where you can go in and like set it up to post for you at a certain time and frequency. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but honestly, I'm wondering not so much how, but why? Like, this actually translates into something that I'm totally unaware of, apparently.
Sure. So the answer is because you want to let people see what you do. That's what it comes down to. You know, people always think, "Oh, I have to create all this content, right? Oh, man, I would have to create so much." The answer is no, don't create. Just document what you're doing, right? Start talking about the people that are coming into your practice, the things that you see every single day, the places that you go, the food choices that you make, right? The different things that you encounter in your lifestyle on a day-to-day basis, and that will drive the right type of person into your practice that you're looking for. Right? So if you're eating healthy food, hey, I'm here at Joe's Diner today, and I just want to let you guys know about this best salad that they have. It's a spinach salad. They use organic food. They blah, 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 right? I'm so blessed to be able to care for the people that work here. And I really love other people that are healthy like this. If I can help you out in any way, let me know, right? So you're not creating content. You're just documenting what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. As far as millennials, this is what millennials want to see, right? Gone are the days where people are spending thousands of dollars for big studios and lights and prompters. No, now it's all about taking your iPhone out, using a $1.99 app to create something that will kind of go and live on forever. Does that help answer your question a little bit?
I think I'm starting to get a glimpse of what you're talking about.
Yeah. So just document, don't create. That's like one of the biggest shifts that people have to always think, because they always think like, oh, what am I going to sit here? What am I going to create? I don't know what to create today. Just document what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Honest to God, that gets the biggest viral shares out there. Now, to answer your second question is, how do I maximize, right, my efficiency, my reach?
Not how.
Is that what you're asking?
Not how, but what does that mean?
Sure. No, that's great. So Facebook does not show everything that you post to all of your friends. I don't know if you know that or not. So let's say you have 1,000 people that are like your page. What Facebook does is, because there's so many people on it, is they only give it to a certain demographic or certain snippet. It's part of their algorithm. So let's say I post a picture and they show it to 100 of those 1,000 people. And no one likes it, no one loves it, no one comments it. Guess what? They ain't gonna show it to anybody else. But if they show it and instantly 3 people like it, then they just open it up to 250. And then now 12 people have liked it. Now it's 500. Now 75 people have liked that picture and you have 10 comments under it. Not only will Facebook show that to your 1,000, but they will actually start now showing it to friends of your friends. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank
you. And that's how you create viralness in the social media world. So that's how you maximize your exposure. You create content that people want to know about, right? You touch on topics and subjects. Now, if you're only creating one piece of content a month, guess what? Your chances of creating a really viral piece is very, very low. But if you're creating multiple pieces of content a day, now it's like multiple advertising channels, right? I do Facebook, I do Yellow Pages, I do this, I do website, I do all of these things. It's more hooks in the water, so to speak, with different bait. That's all social media is. It's just, think about it that way. You have different poles in the water, and when one hits, then you obviously want to use more bait or talk more about that or create more content in that channel. That makes some sense?
Yes, thank you.
Good so far, right? So I know I only have about 1.5 minutes left. This has gone really quickly. I'm sorry. Video content number 1, right? You want to respond to questions. That's so incredibly important, right? You want to join conversations. A lot of times you'll be on Facebook and you'll see somebody say, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Or, Natural Mom talk about this. Or, hey, I've seen some of this. Join the conversation. Hey, guess what? I take care of a lot of CrossFitters. Yeah, I've seen that a lot in my practice. Would love to help you out if I can, right? And then the last thing is hook into timely events and news that's out there, guys. And use stuff like Circle of Docs. Use the stuff like the opioid epidemics. Take your phone out as soon as it breaks, because as soon as you post that, guess what? People are already talking about that on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and just use that to your advantage. Chime in, give your thoughts on things. The people that are the biggest influencers right now in the millennial and like media digital space are those people, the people that are capitalizing on timely events in and around the world right now. Heck, that's why you watch news, right? Is because you want the most timely event that's out there. That's why you watch Fox and CNN, is because you want to know the news that's happening right now. So why are you not creating the news that's happening right now in the health space in your community? So I know I'm going to be kicked off here right now by you, Krista, and that's all good. But if you guys have any questions, any other questions right now, definitely let me know.
A quick question from Dr. Mark, and it's a quick answer. He says, what is the iPhone app you mentioned for capturing and transmitting documents?
Oh, okay, great question. So I use 2 different apps. There's one called Adobe Clip, CLIP. It's a free app. It's kind of an upsell, tell you the truth, into their their software that does video editing. So you guys probably know about iMovie, right? So Adobe Premiere is like the iMovie equivalent, but Adobe Clip is actually a free, yep, perfect. Adobe Clip is a free software that you can download on your iPhone. And what you do is you take clips and it magically puts it all together for you. So if you're going to be taking the pictures, or excuse me, the videos, make each video about 7 to 8 seconds long and put it together, and you just press, you know, magically do it, and it does the whole experience for you, and you can literally take that and post it. It's so incredibly easy. And the second thing would be Splice, S-P-L-I-C-E, and basically what that does is that allows you to take clips and put them together really quickly and then edit them. So if you guys see people that do like jump cuts real quick where it's like boom, 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 back and forth, the Splice app is the second one that I use for that. And otherwise, I'm just taking my phone. God, do not be recording this way with your phone. It looks horrible. Take it and turn it this way. I can't tell you how many people I'm like, yeah, here's the phone. No, it's horrible. Turn it this way. That'll actually open up the whole expansion of the exposure of the video and make you look way better. And then use the rule of thirds, right? So take the phone like this and break it up into 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, and put your body in one side of the frame when you're doing your videos. Trust me, little things like that, guys, make your videos so much better.
Nailed it. Great advice. I think that's all the questions we have. Any other, Dr. Lucas, I think you're the only one that hasn't asked a question. Do you have anything? No, he's got to know. So Dr. Bo, we appreciate you so much. I know that was a lot of information for everybody. If anybody has any questions following up, let me know. Feel free to shoot me an email at support@philosophyformula.com. I'll reach out to Dr. Bo. I'll get you an answer. We'll get this all resolved for you. Dr. Bo, you're a rock star. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And please stay tuned right now for Dr. Rosen, because you're talking about a rock star. This guy is a rock star that's coming up next, guys. He's out in Maui. He's got a cool, he's probably surfed already this morning, but will drop gems about ways to help grow your practice. I can't tell you. So thank you guys so much. And thank you, Krista, so much for your time and Philosophy Formula. You are my family. I love you guys.
We love you too, Dr. Bo. And afternoon. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And thanks again. With that, the one, the only, the Dr. Russ Rosen here live with us, here to round us out. This has been a high energy Zenith event, and Dr. Russ is just going to keep that ball rolling right up the hill. So Dr. Russ, the floor is yours. Oh, you're on mute. Oh, there you go.
All right. Aloha, gang. Hey, Dr. Bo, that was phenomenal. As always, love everything you put out. Thank you so much. It was just fantastic. And I have 2 pages of notes now that I have to go mess with. So I'll do the rule of third and stand over here so I don't look like an idiot. So here's the deal. I have a tremendous amount of information I'd like to be able to share with you. And the truth of the matter is I don't have that kind of time. So I've put together a bunch of information in my learning center for you. I'm going to give you a link you can go to and download a bunch of stuff. I've put together tremendous information that I think you're going to love. And along these lines, so you can barely hear, can you hear me, Krista? You can hear me?
I can hear you. It's a little bit quiet, but maybe just a little bit closer to the microphone.
Okay. One of the things when I did the philosophy formula that I heard over and over and over and over and over and again was, how do I figure out my contradictions and how do I fix them? Now, I've been studying versions of this for 37 years now, and I've put together a module which clarifies the difference between conscious contradictions and subconscious contradictions. These are tricky because they're subconscious. You don't know they're there, right? Here's a subconscious contradiction. I get the idea that I want to ask for referrals, but every time I go to ask for a referral, I feel uncomfortable. I get a bit queasy in my stomach. I really want to give talks, but boy, I get so nervous. Trust me on this. That is a subconscious subluxation. It's a subconscious contradiction. And there are ways to find those, and there are ways to fix those. They're simple. They're not easy, but trust me on this. You've got them. We all do. And this module shows you exactly how to find them and fix them. So I have not got this module to anyone else yet. Well, actually 2 other people really just put it together, but I think you're going to absolutely love it. One of the things that Angie and I do when we work with docs is we're always working with headspace and procedure. And it's like a ladder. You're going headspace, procedure. And if you go up too far with one or the other, you crash. It just doesn't work. And so one of the things we find is as you're studying your procedures, you will start to recognize, ooh, wow, that isn't really true anymore from my metaphysics. It's not true from my belief systems any longer. So one of the things we ask people to do is make a list of confusions. And there was a doc who had just graduated this course, and I asked him to make a list of confusions. And usually when I ask for a list of confusions, there's 2 or 3. And because this guy did this course, this is his list of confusions. Now, we took a couple of months and we went through and we helped him clear up his confusions. Not to become what I believe to be true, not to become what Pat believes to be true, but to clear up his contradictions, his faulty premises, and help him find his truth. And obviously his practice starting to grow. Once we then took those new truths and we took procedures, congruent procedures, and put them together, the practice just rockets. Of course it will. Do you understand that to be true? Here's what I believe to be true. Here's how I know it's true. And this is what I do because it's true. Hopefully by now that sounds pretty familiar. So this module, I believe that it'll absolutely blow your mind. It will help you see areas where you might have some confusions or anxiousness. And these are windows into these subluxations or contradictions. So don't have time to get into that today. What I do want to get into is how to communicate with your patients to get them to get it. And we want to use care versus scare. We want to empower our patients to fully understand what we do versus traumatizing them. Okay, so we're going to love them. We're going to empower them. And the first thing we have to look at is how do I close the gap? The gap between what your patient thinks when they come in versus what you know to be true. The odds are they think you can help them with neck and back pain, and you recognize that you can help them get healthy and stay healthy for a lifetime. Now, with what Bo was just talking about, if you're constantly putting out information, you're closing that gap for them. They're not just coming in off the street thinking you can fix my neck and back pain, but they're already starting to get a better understanding. But regardless, we've got to close this gap. And that's what I want to show you how to do today. So what is it? When I say I want them to get it, what is it? Well, one of the things that you're going to get is this brochure from me, and I'll show you how to use it. And on the back panel, over here is the chiropractic premise. Nervous system controls everything. If it's getting proper nerve supply, you got a better chance of being healthy. If you're not getting proper nerve supply, subluxation. Subluxation is caused by 3 things, blah, blah, blah. We all know that, and it's right there. The other one is called the whole story, this whole story right here. And I promise you, if you get your patients to get this, they will get it. And the odds are they will want what you offer. So let's take a look at the whole story for a moment and ask this question. If your patient said this out loud by the end of the examination, would it be valuable? I understand that I have subluxations that could be causing my headache as well as my sinus problems, and I never told you about, and my mid-back pain as well as my indigestion. And God, how did you know that? I understand what probably brought it on in the first place was my car accident, years of football, and years of crack cocaine, right? I understand that if I don't get it taken care of, obviously not a good thing. If I can correct it and learn ways not to recreate it in the future, not only could I feel better now and prevent problems in the future, but I could literally reverse the effects of the aging process or be healthier in 5 years than I am right now, and I could have a better life. Truthfully, I have a health problem, not a back problem. I want to get healthy and stay healthy for a lifetime. So let's look at this. Let's look at your metaphysics, because all that matters with the procedure I'm about to show you is it congruent with your metaphysics? Is it congruent with your belief system? If it's not, then there's no power in your punch. Black belt breaks the brick. White belt breaks their hand. The difference between the two is are these in line? Again, by now, this should make sense. So, subluxations could cause headaches as well as all kinds of other things. I'm going to assume we all get that that's true. Cause, 3 dimensions of stress. I think you're all with me. Don't get it taken care of, odds are not such a good idea. So far, so good. Here's where it gets tricky. If we can correct their subluxations and show them ways not to recreate it in the future. So is that true for you? Is that real for you? Is that part of your job? Lots of us, the answer is no, just adjust. All I do is adjust. Lots of us, we want to show them ways not to recreate it in the future. when I was telling you about that doc that I was working with and all of these, a lot of his questions were, what is my role? Do I have to show them how to quit recreating? If I don't, am I really helping them? If so, how far do I take it? What about care plans? What about asking for referrals? I mean, there's just all these kinds of questions that so many of us have, right? So are we going to correct the subluxations? Can we really correct subluxations? All of these are real questions that you've got to dive into. Okay, these are things we talk to our docs about all the time and help them find their truth. Are we going to show them ways not to recreate it? Can we show them ways to not recreate it? What's my role as far as not recreating it? If we do that, could they feel better? Yes. Are you 100% sure they're going to feel better? Think about it for a moment. Are you 100% sure? Now, I know that the right answer at this kind of a workshop is, yes, if they're under my care, they're going to get healthy and blah, blah, blah. And my response to that is, everybody back up for a sec. It's nonsense. Shut up. It's not true. There's no way. You can't help everybody feel better. You've never had anyone come into your office that didn't feel better. You've either not been practicing long enough or you're a liar. It's not true. If it is true, come over here. I'll take you out to Ho'okipa where the waves are nice and big. Walk out there with me. I want to see you walk on water. Okay? The truth is most people will feel better. And the truth is some people won't. At least that's my truth. We got to find what your truth is. Could we prevent problems in the future? Well, of course. But does that mean that no one will ever have a problem? So you've never had somebody who got cancer, heart attack, cancer, stroke, Lou Gehrig's disease? Nonsense. That stuff happens. It's part of life. The question is, do we have better odds? If we can correct the nerve interference, if we can get them to live a better lifestyle, can we increase the odds of them feeling better and preventing problems in the future? Again, these are things I think we really need to dive into. Find your truth. Could they end up reverse the effects of the aging process? In other words, could they be healthier in 5 years than they are right now? I think the answer to that is very clear. Yes. Again, it's your truth. And could they have a better life? Obviously, if they're living their life through their nervous system and they're subluxated, their life isn't going to be as good as if they have a healthier functioning nervous system. Again, this right here, I have spent hours with docs, hours on each piece of this, helping them find their truth. Once you find your truth, coming up with a strategy and a procedure to help your patients get this is really, really simple, which I'll show you right now. So is it true that if somebody is subluxated and you can correct it and show them ways not to recreate it, that you can, if they're subluxated, it truly is more of a health problem than a back problem? And I'm going to suggest the answer to that is true. And if it's true for you and you help your patients get this, imagine what your world would be like if your patients could say this out loud and fully understood it and believed it by the end of the examination. In fact, I'm going to suggest if you take a look at all the green books, that many green books, they don't need any of it. Here's what they need right here. They need to understand their subluxations and how it could be affecting them. They need to understand the chiropractic premise and the whole story. Again, when you go to the learning center that I'm setting up for you, you'll be able to download that and print as many as you like forever. Well, that was a bunch. Okay, so how do you do it? Well, here's a trick. The trick is we need to understand the reptilian brain. Now, this is where it gets really, really tricky. What does the reptilian brain do for a living? Is it filters information? It's all about survival, right? Less than 1% of your information gets past your reptilian brain, your neocortex. What does your neocortex do for a living? Thinking and reasoning. That's what it does for a living. So if I'm speaking to you, my patient, and I need you to understand that whole story, I need to get it through the reptilian brain into the neocortex. And if it makes sense, which it will because it's real and valid, then it'll go to the limbic system. Limbic system is belief system. 8-ball corner pocket, right off of the side. I need to get it past the reptilian brain. Now here's the problem. Reptilian brain is all about survival, food, fighting, and fornication. Hopefully you're not doing that with your patients when they're in your office, at least. So then if you're going to get that information through there, you've got to get the reptilian brain's attention. You have to get its attention and keep its attention. If you don't keep its attention, what happens is they drool. So you remember what happened in class when you heard wah, 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 and that'll be on the test. And then you heard everybody go like this, going, whoa, what'll be on the test? Look, the sound waves were there. The sound waves were coming in, but you didn't get it because it got stuck. It got filtered out by the reptilian brain. We've got to get our information to their neocortex. I guarantee you, it'll make sense and it'll get to their belief system. Now we have Rosenites. That's what we want. That's how I had such a thriving practice, is because I had Rosenites, people who believe absolutely in what we do. If you're not doing it, if you're losing them in the reptilian brain, what you're going to hear a lot is, I'll have to go home and think about it. They do, because they never got it. It never went past. They shook their head while they drooled, right? They kept doing this, but they never got it. So how do you really communicate with the reptilian brain? Put together a 30-minute module on this, because it's way too much to do in this short period of time. When you go there, you'll be able to get it. But here's the deal. Here's a hint. You and I were taught to speak from my neocortex to your neocortex, logic and reason. And the problem is, it doesn't work. If you want to help people understand it, you need to speak from your neocortex, thinking and reasoning, to their reptilian brain. You've got to get their reptilian brain's attention and keep it. They will send it up to their neocortex, which is something you simply cannot do. And once it gets there, then we go to the limbic system. How do you do it? Make it new, make it novel, make it exciting, make it about them. As Bo was just talking about, make it their story, not our story. They don't care about Dee Dee Palmer. They don't care about Fluffy. They don't care about any of this kind of stuff. What they care about is them. They care about their story. When you make your story their story, their reptilian brain is listening. So how do you do it? Socratic questions. So how do we get our patients to get this so that they can say it out loud? Let me show you real quickly. Again, I have a video on this. I have audios on this. I have a transcript on this. I have this on this. I have everything you need when you go to the module. This is simply giving you enough of a taste that you go, ooh, I'd like to really be a master at that. If I've done that today and you go there and do it, I've done my job. So it's as simple as this. Krista has headaches. Oftentimes, if you have subluxations causing headaches, we'll find a tender spot there. Is it tender there? Wow, yes, it is. I think we might have found the underlying cause of your problem. And that would make sense, because this nerve goes to there. And if you have nerve interference, it could be causing those headaches. Does that make sense? Sidebar, is Krista listening? Yes. How do I know? Because we're talking about her headaches. And I'm touching her, and she's listening, and she's blown away, because it's new and novel, exciting. Right? Oh my God, how did he know? Now, if you do have that going on, you may notice face dizziness, mood swings, brain fog, eyes, ears, nose, throat, sinus issues. Do you ever get any of that? Oh my God, I get sinus issues all the time. How did you know? Well, because this nerve goes to there. And if you're not getting proper nerve supply from here to here, it could be causing headaches, but it could also be causing sinus problems. In fact, Krista, let me ask you, if you're not getting proper nerve supply from here to here, and we start to get proper nerve supply, what do you think would happen here? Socratic. And she says, well, I guess it would probably get better. Yes, we wouldn't be getting rid of the symptom as you rot to death. We'd be helping you heal. What if it also is causing sinus problems and we get this corrected? What would happen? My sinus problems would get better too. Here comes a belief system. You guys ready? Here comes a belief system. What if this is not what's causing your sinus problems? Is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. Come on. What if you're on a motorcycle and a bee goes through your nose into your sinuses and that's what's causing the pain? Is this going to fix that? Knock it off. Come on. It's not. Is it valuable to get this corrected? Of course, because we live our life through our nervous system, but don't think it's going to fix that. It's not. This is why we're going to have conversations. It's why we're going to do tests. It's why we're going to see how their nervous system truly is affecting them. Is she listening at this point? You bet your butt she is. I'm talking to her about her story. There's nothing more important. There's nothing more exciting. There's nothing that she'll listen to other than her story. I've got her engaged. So I'm going to check. I'm going to connect the nervous system to her chief complaint. And then I'm going to go motor sensory autonomic. Now, if you do have a subluxation here causing these kinds of headaches and sinus problems, foregone conclusion, you may have another one down about here. Is it tender there? Yes. Well, I think we might have found the underlying cause of this issue, and it would make sense because this nerve goes to here, and we have a contra rotation, and it comes over here, and you can see that this area is tender. Do you ever get pain between the shoulder blades? Yes, I do. Interesting. Oftentimes, if you're subluxated here, we might notice gas, bloating, indigestion, heartburn. Do you ever notice that? Oh my God, I have it all the time. How did you know? Well, because this nerve goes to these organs, and if you're not getting proper nerve supply, these may not work right. Now, in the module, I go into all of the testing you can do and all kinds of different things to connect those dots. But once you connect those dots for them, they get it. Now that I've connected that, I just need to go motor sensory autonomic, did that. Now I'm just going to prove my case. Oftentimes, you'll notice I'm using the same phrase. If you have a subluxation causing headache, sinus problems, mid-back pain, and indigestion, we may notice a limited range of motion. Do me a favor, turn your head to the left, turn your head to the right. Oh my God, it doesn't go to the right. Well, that would make sense because when there's nerve interference, it causes muscles to pull on bones. Bones don't want to move and it gets stuck. Does that feel stuck? Yes. Then I must be what? Subluxated. And I'll show you exactly how to do it, whether you're using the substation or x-rays, whatever you do, I'll show you how to do it. Now I need to get you to say this out loud. And here's how simple it is. So I'm going to go over 4 points. If you get these, odds are we can help. If not, there's really nothing I can do. Is she listening? Yes, because why she's here is she wants help. Krista, you have subluxations here that could be causing your headaches, but what else? I'm going to go here, I'm going to point there, and she's going to say sinus problems. I'm going to touch her mid-back and say mid-back, but what else? And I'm going to go like that or point there. Did she underline? And she's going to go, my indigestion. I'll say exactly. And I'll say, what do you think brought these on in the first place? And she'll say, I'll say, your crack Zenith, but what else? What about the crack cocaine? Oh, right, my years of crack cocaine abuse. That probably brought this on. Okay, and what do you think happens? See, I'm not going to scare her. I'm not going to tell her she's going to die in her next 5 generations if she don't get adjusted. I'm just going to ask her, if you're not getting proper nerve supply to these things, what do you think happens over time? And she will say, not good. That is not good. You're all right, I'm with you. That's probably not a good idea. If we could correct these and show you ways not to recreate them, does it make sense that you could not only feel better and prevent problems in the future, but reverse the effects of the aging process and have a better life? Now, I'll show you that there's several different ways to do this and to get her to say it, because I want her saying it out loud, but we're going to run out of time and I don't have to do it. I don't have time to do it, but I did put a module together which shows you exactly how to do that. And then I'm going to ask her this question. I'm going to say, so listen, if we got your nervous system functioning better, do you think that your life would be better? And they will say yes. And I'll say, great. So what do you think? Krista, neck pain, headache, sinus problems, indigestion, coated tongue, stinky armpits, cracked toenails, like fungus coming out of your earlobes. Neck problem, back problem, or health problem? What do you think? And I guarantee you she's going to say one of 2 things. It's a health problem or both, in which case I will agree. So here's the deal. Oh my God, I got 5 seconds. I'm going to take about 15, 20 extra seconds here. I promise you this. If you go to the ohcsystem.com/summit, you're going to see I've made a new module. When you go in there, it's all of my regular coaching clients, and then there's a new place that you guys get to go to. And I've put together 6 different things for you. I've just handpicked that I know will be awesome for you. It's $1,267 worth of stuff. It really, really is. I'm making up a number. And it's free to you. And the reason why, and I want to be transparent, is you guys are the ones who are going to go out there and make the big difference. You understand the philosophy. Now all we got to do is get procedures in place. And as you do your procedures, the next hand comes up, you got to dive deeper into your philosophy and procedures. It's why Pat does the advanced program, because it's never ending. I've been studying this stuff for 37 years now. It's never ending. If you find this stuff interesting and you want to take me out for a test drive of what it would be like to do personal coaching with me, you get through that module and you come up with some of your confusions, you can get on the phone with me for a half hour and I will help you find your subconscious contradictions. I'll show you ways to clean those up, and then I'll point you in the right direction of what procedures you would use. When you put those 2 together, I guarantee you success. So if you're thinking about looking for coaching, Angie and I might be able to help you out. If you're not, then just download that stuff on your own and get through it. And I promise you that you will have amazing results if you just get this stuff down. Whew.
You can breathe now. That was a lot of great content packed in. I'm going to open it up for questions and comments inside. So any one of the 3 of you have any questions or comments, just feel free to come off mute. Actually, I won't even say raise your hand or anything. Just feel free to come off mute. Don't be shy, guys. Dr. Mark. Oh, I thought you looked, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Russ. I'm really looking forward to seeing your materials, and your zest and zeal for what you do and what you've provided is remarkable, and good to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. Here's my question for you: is how do I get that?
Well, we should talk about that offline.
Okay, wow, that's impressive. Yeah, good. Thank you, brother, and I hope you'll dive into that material. It's a lot, but look, you're this far. You're here today. You're the kind of guy who takes action. So you dive into that material, and then if you like it, hold me. I'll help you in any way that I can.
All right.
Any other questions? I will help in any way I can. Questions about this, questions about anything. I will help in any way I can.
I have one more question. I have another question. And actually, I posted this on the Facebook earlier. I'm interested in any research relative to the effectiveness of chiropractic for long-term health. And if you could point me to a source for that.
Yeah, what I would check would be, and I'm not the right guy for this, but I know CLA because of the On Purpose. So I would check with possibly Chris Kent. I think Circle of Docs has a bunch of stuff. There was another company out there that had a whole bunch of stuff. There was that study on serum thiol, which is a really great study. But I'll bet Chris Kent is the guy who could point you in that direction because of what he does on Purpose.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Great question, sir.
In relationship to anything in your practice, if you want to thrive in a care versus care, optimal, true health and wellness model, I will help. And then I'm going to pick up my wife at the airport. So let's make it happen. All right. Going once. I think we're there, Krista. They either have no questions or I've overwhelmed them. I exploded the reptilian brain.
We're whelmed.
We're whelmed. Good. All right, Krista, that's it for me. Krista, are you there? Oh, Krista's frozen. Interesting. Krista's frozen. Let me see if I can. Huh. Well, that's an interesting piece of the puzzle. I'm not sure if she'll be able to make it back in. I'll throw in a plug, if I may, just by a head shake, because I can see the three of you here. Did you find this philosophy course valuable?
Definitely.
Mind-boggling, life-changing, right? I just can't recommend enough that you consider. Okay, Chris, you're back. I was doing a pitch for the advanced program. Can't recommend enough that you can continue on, and here's why. Because the truth is, after 37 years of studying this stuff, 37 years, I mean, it's a lot of my life. It is never ending, and you can't step in the same river twice. And as you grow and evolve and you come up with new procedures, all of a sudden who you were changed and your belief systems change. So now that you change this, you need new procedures, right? And so my experience is if you keep in this process of continually looking at your truth, what is my truth? One of the questions that I ask myself many times a day. So today I was just on a walk trying to prepare for this, and I asked myself 3 times, is that true? And when you go through that module I did on how to find and fix contradictions, you'll see why that's so important. But keep asking yourself, is it true? And don't be afraid to recognize that this may not be true. I may be blowing smoke up my own skirt. I might be telling myself a story. And that's one of the things that Pat is so brilliant at. It's the thing that in 1996 that really attracted me to Pat was this continual looking for truth and not saying it's my way or the highway and not saying I'm right. And I've had I got to work very closely with Pat with the Creating Wellness Centers. I've spent a lot of time with them, and I have yet to ever find anything where I brought it up to him, even if it's something that he didn't agree with, where he would just say no. Like we would have these really tremendous conversations, and then both of us would grow and evolve from it. So that's really one of his strong points, and I believe it's why it's so great following through. Krista, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm not sure what happened, but glad everything was still going and you guys were good. Now, was that a question from Dr. Lucas or were you?
It wasn't. It was just me going on because I was hoping you'd make it back in.
Okay, well, that's perfect. I appreciate you doing that, Dr. Russ. I did catch, I know we're a little bit over here, but Dr. Holly posted how to move forward from borderline overwhelm at this point.
Yeah, okay, beautiful. Good for you. So do me a favor. Here's what I would recommend. And who is that? It was Dr.
Holly inside here with us.
Inside. And can you unmute so we can have a conversation?
Hi.
Hi. Good for you. Good for you for doing so much that you're feeling that overwhelm, which means that there's plenty for you to digest. But one of two things are going to happen. You're not going to digest it, and it's going to sit there and putrefy, in which case you go down the tubes and you never really get back again. Or you can really eat that elephant in bite-sized chunks. Can you give me just an idea of some of the overwhelm, if that feels okay for you to do this way, and if not, I'll go on.
I don't mind sharing, but I'm not actually sure how to answer the question. I'm not sure how to answer it without giving you a lot of info. Can you help me with a more specific?
Yeah, so here's the deal. See, this is usually what happens. When we're in overwhelm, we can't even articulate it. There's so much, and there's just this much. The first thing I would recommend that you do is just start writing down all of this stuff in your mind. Like all the stuff that you'd like to do. And then I would start to prioritize it in 3 categories. And the first category would be highest priority, I've got to get this thing done. The second one would be things I'd like to get to sometime. And the third one would be things I'll most likely never get to, but if I don't write it down, my head will explode. And I would start there. And then I literally would I have at this moment 23 pages of that typed. And when I die, I'm going to have like 75 pages if I don't die today, right? So it's just, it's like, it's always more. I'll never get it all done, but that's okay. So the first thing I would do is I would just start with that priority list, and I'd really prioritize that. And I would just start chunking those things down and getting those done. And my experience is once you start to get those things done, everything else starts to fall in place. Does that help or not?
Dr. Holly, I had to mute you just because of a bit of background, but you can come off mute.
Thank you. It does kind of help. Now I have feedback. Oh, well. It does kind of help, but honestly, the list of the highest priorities, I don't know how to sort through that at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Here's what I'm going to recommend that you do. You go through the one module that I have called how to recognize and fix contradictions.
Mm-hmm.
Then you send me an email, and you and I'll get on the phone, and I'll help you straighten this out.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sure. Thank you.
But I want you to have really thought through. So when we get on the phone, you've already emailed me your story, so I can help you get through it, and then we'll get you in the right direction. We'll help you digest.
Okay.
I will be your digestive aid.
I need it. Thank you.
Good?
Yes, thank you.
Do me a favor. Remind me when you send me the email. You just say you're on the call with me. I'm the pretty gal with the glasses that you were speaking to. And I'll
Okay.
go, okay, know who that is. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Holly. Thank you so much, Dr. Russ. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate you coming on here and sharing so much of yourself with the group. Always, time after time, we just appreciate you very much for that. As of right now, there's no other questions or comments outside on the Facebook thread, but if anybody has any questions or comments, please just email them to me. I'll get you in touch with Dr. Russ, or I'll get the question over to you. We'll get it taken care of for you, and we appreciate you being here. So I want to tell you, Dr. Russ, how much we appreciate you. Thank you so very much for being here today and sharing with the group. We look forward to seeing you again soon. And do you have any final words?
Yeah, you always make me feel so special. I always appreciate it. And I'll just throw it out to the 3 on the call right now, and then anyone else who ever listens to this. We can have the life we want. We really can. And this is the formula for it. And when we really clear up our mind, when we get this clear first, and then we come up with procedures, when we get our metaphysics, our epistemology, and our ethics in line, it's just magic. how the universe will conspire to give us the life that we want. So it's not easy. It's work, but stick with it. And if you do, magic will happen. I'm very confident.
Awesome. Well, I hope that magic happens for everybody, and we're always striving every day, striving for a little bit more magic. Just put it out there, and the world will just bring that, reciprocate it back to you. So, once again, thank you very much, Dr. Russ. We appreciate your time. Hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. For everybody here that joined us, I know we went a little bit over, but we also got started a little bit late, and we had a lot of technical glitches. So I want to say thank you to everybody who stuck it out and was here with us, is watching with us live outside on the Facebook thread. For the 3 of you that joined us inside live, thank you so very much. For everybody who has been here or maybe is catching this on recording, we appreciate you very, very much. Looking forward to being back on with you again. If you're in the current class, don't forget we are on again next week. It's your final week of open office hours. And then we hope you can continue on with us in our post-grad program. And for all of our wonderful post-grad members who were able to join us today, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll be sending out this recording. I've got to mash it together, the first video, the second video, but we'll get it worked out. We'll also be sending you out any of the links that we talked about today throughout the various presenters that we had, and also the slides, if anybody had any slides that they were willing to share with us as well. So we're looking forward to following up with you. If anybody has any questions or comments or is looking for anything, please feel free to reach out to me, support@philosophyformula.com. We look forward to seeing you again soon, and everybody have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend for all of us here in the US, and to everybody else, have a great weekend in general, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much, guys.